It wasn't about jealousy. Let's put paid to that idea for starters. It was about much more than that. About life and death, darkness and light. The struggle towards the light as the terrible mother licked at our heels, curled her fingers around us, and threatened to pull us back into the womb. We were living in the dark, every green of Ireland a shade of black. Black the oak leaves and the bark, black the entrails in the slain stag's belly, black the boar's roar in the rollicking dark. It was black, black, black. I'd wake sometimes, bellowing, heaving for breath, and grab my spear and hurl it into the black mother's galloping breast, trying always to slay her before she swallowed us whole. I was the father of those boys, responsible for each and every one of them. They'd come with the mother's milk still trickling down their soft cheeks, and within 10 years, I'd have turned them into mighty men, speared and gleaming warriors in the fight against the deep. I loved every one of them. I loved them when they were still half minted and looked upon me as a mighty God towering above them, throwing a word of praise to them here and there for them to feast on. I loved them at that age, but I loved them more the day they challenged me, tried to cast me down from the lofty height they'd placed me on, de-seat me as the God they'd made me. That was the day I longed for, the day a hero might be minted amongst them. I'd noticed Diarmuid early on, this beautiful boy. Even a father isn't immune to such charm and beauty in his son. But I was wary too, for I'd seen the love spot youth had put on him, and I knew the mother had marked him as her own. In every generation, she sets her sights on one or two of them, the beautiful ones she just can't let go of. She starts by feeding them with graces, but soon enough, they're feeding her with their unearthly beauty, their starriness and charm. The mother is demanding. She'll let most of us go as long as she gets her due, a mortal sacrifice to her chthonic power. I've heard that in Crete, she takes 14 in every generation, 7 boys and 7 girls sent into the labyrinthine dark to feed her. Of course, I don't want that from my boys. Of course, I want to protect them from that. That's why I'm so hard on them. That's what all the training is about, to toughen their hide so that when the dragon comes for them, they're ready to slay her. When I heard that Diarmuid had gone off with Grania, do you know what I thought? I thought, okay, Diarmuid, game on. I thought this was his day to marry the mother and slay the father. A bit of a cliche, you know, the Oedipal thing, but every boy has his complexes, and I was happy to play my role, put him through his paces so he could show he's ready to be a man, not just a son to his father. And Diarmuid knew plenty about slaying the dragon. We'd told the story 1,000 times. You go into the cave, you slay the dragon, you take the treasure and leave. I thought maybe he'd even had practice before. There were always girls hanging around him, so I figured he'd slain the dragon already, you know what I mean? But in retrospect, I wonder if maybe he was just one of those lads who connects more with girls, can relate to them in some way, you know, stuff in common. Anyway, I went off in hot pursuit and I was pissed off. I mean, of course I was. He'd taken my young bride from under my nose, so my anger was real. But do you know what really pissed me off? Every morning, going into the cave he and Grania had just vacated, to see a line drawn down the middle of the bed. Now, let me spell this out for you in case you don't get it. You go into the cave, you slay the dragon, you take the treasure, and you're away. But this Egypt went into the cave every evening and drew a line down the middle of the cave between him and the dragon. I was tearing my fucking hair out. I couldn't believe it. This is what the lads of 9 and 10 years old do when they start to realize they're different from the little girls. They'll draw a line down the middle of the desk and tell the girls not to cross it, that they don't want to play with them. But Jesus H. Christ, Dermot was already a man of 20 years old, play acting like a schoolboy of 10. I was absolutely furious, and as the days passed, I got angrier and angrier and angrier. Well, one morning, I went into the cave and the line down the middle wasn't there. But that didn't calm me down, because I knew that Dermot hadn't slayed the dragon had slayed him. I'd lost one of my boys to the Black Mother, and I was absolutely devastated. He was a fine lad, you know, one of the best of the Fionn, and I'd have done anything for him. But he'd made his bed, so I finished him off, kicked him into the dark maw of the ravening boar, fed my son to her, and hoped she wouldn't be back for another of my boys anytime soon. I was back in Dublin there recently. You know, I come back every now and then to see how things are, what's going on in the old haunts. I miss my boys, the old lads from the Fionn. So I thought I'd go into a few schools, you know, see some young folks, see how they're getting on. You know what I found there? Young people suffering. Not just one, but many, many young people, anxious, depressed, drugged, addicted, young girls with breasts bound, young boys castrated, and the adults didn't seem to care that the school had become the Minotaur's lair. So don't judge me. I was there for my boys. I tried to prepare them for what was to come. Where are the wise leaders now?